And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. And first off, we want to thank everybody out there that's tuned into the show, especially on iTunes, because, hey, we got on our Pop Culture Cosmos show, which was our last program, we got our largest volume of iTunes, Apple Podcasts listeners to date. So we truly appreciate you downloading and listening to the podcast via there or any other way that you stream it and podcast, including the Podcast Radio Network, where our three shows, the Attack of the Humanitans, the Pop Culture Cosmos show, and this show, the PCC Multiverse, are three of the top 10 shows on the network. And let's bring in the guy, the man, the myth, the legend behind Attack of the Humanitans. He is the mastermind of Humanity Media. It's Josh Peterson. What's up, my friend? 3 shows in the top 10 of the Podcast Radio Network. Ain't too shabby.
I know. Jeez, I don't even like listening to myself, but apparently people enjoy listening to us.
Indeed. But it's just truly appreciate everyone out there listening to everything that we're putting out. As far as, we cannot thank you enough for doing it. It's all because of you. That's why we're doing it. So we truly appreciate it. What's coming up with all the great stuff from Humanican Media?
Let's see. New Super BS on Monday. Other than that, though, you just had new Topicocalypse is already up, so you just got to the rest of episode 4 and new Attack of the Humanicans, which will probably be Super BS this week. And yeah, I released a bunch of stuff this week, so you got a new What About This to listen to, a new Inside Sports, and all that good stuff. So,
and there's like 2 episodes of Topicocalypse that you put on YouTube. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. So I'm trying to work on the website right now. So I'm just trying to launch everything I have so I can throw it all up there at once.
Fair enough, indeed. That's a lot of great stuff going down. That is Attack of the Humanicans, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network, and also as well the Super BS Gamescast, the What About This program, also as well Topicocalypse and Guardians of the Geek, and also as well, everything else going on within the framework of Humanican Media. You want to check it out on Facebook and Twitter, and then also their shows on YouTube, Podbean, Google Play, iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, etc., etc. So just a lot of great stuff going on there with Humanican Media. Awesome indeed. But we got to get into today's program because I'll tell you what, we've got a great lineup for you indeed. We got Rob McCallum coming on this show in a little bit. He wants to talk more about J.J. Abrams taking the role of director on at episode 9 and see. And we're going to go back and forth on our thoughts on that as well, along with some other pop talk. Tyler Baker is filling us in on week 2 with the NFL and what he's looking forward to this weekend in the NFL. And then also we're going to talk a little bit about the craze of the latest Adult Swim cartoon that's sweeping the nation. That's Rick and Morty. It's now, I believe, gone 3 seasons now. It's really just done a bang-up job. It's now one of the big shows on Sunday night, and we're going to talk about that more later in the broadcast, plus another great song from Plasma Z. But first, we want to talk a little bit about some video gaming, because video games really needs to take the center stage this week with Nintendo and their Nintendo Direct. So, Josh, did you get a chance to look into detail about what's going on with the Nintendo Direct and some of the announcements that they made, including a good look more at Super Mario Odyssey?
Yeah, let me just start out by saying this new platform Nintendo has for making announcements is very cool. Like I'm loving how we don't have to wait till these big game shows to see what's coming out from Nintendo, because anytime they have something to talk about, they have these quick little 30-minute directs, and they are whether or not it's something that we want, it's very informative. So props to them. And yeah, so there's a lot. I see so we finally got a release date for Skyrim on Switch, which is November 17th, I want to say. And then they talked about Xenoblade Chronicles finally got release date, and that's December.
Yeah, another December release for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So that's definitely something to look forward to as well.
And Bethesda getting into the Nintendo Switch arena, I think, is a really good idea because I don't feel like their VR games are going to be that big a hit. So I feel like getting involved in Nintendo is actually a good way to make up sales from what they're going to be missing on their VR stuff. They got Doom is coming out, and Wolfenstein 2 is going to be coming out in 2018. So there's a lot of good stuff to look forward to there.
And there's also a confirmation as well on Skyrim in November for the Nintendo Switch, holiday 2017 for Doom, and then, like you said, 2018 for Wolfenstein 2, The New Order, even though it will be already out for at least 3-4 months on PS4, Xbox One, and PC platforms. But that's still a good sign for Nintendo Switch because I think it gives it a better portfolio to look at, a more desirable portfolio for gamers to look at and to have those options, because your feelings, and you mentioned this on a previous podcast, are not alone, because a lot of individuals that have a Switch, and they're now much easier to find than they were in the past, because I've been to department stores already and seen some there, almost as many as a dozen as far as in certain stores and certain department outlets that have them. So they are available out there. So the shortage is not there like it once was with the Wii, or like it was earlier with the Switch, or what it might be during the holiday season. But I just want to say that it's really good to see their portfolio lining up, because a lot of people that bought a Switch early on, like you, Josh, they played through Zelda, and then there wasn't really much left unless you're really hardcore at playing Splatoon 2 or ARMS, correct?
Right, and even like the Zelda DLC is not exactly DLC in the common sense that we look at it. It's more kind of like extra challenges you can do if you want to. There's not really a lot of story stuff going on there. So, Zelda's fun, but it's not a lot of replayability there.
Definitely, and that's saying something with, we actually anticipated this to be an issue, that there was this dearth of this gap, this void of quality games coming to the Switch. So at least having the Bethesda trio of Wolfenstein 2: The New Order, Doom, and also as well Skyrim coming to the Nintendo Switch, definitely that's a good sign to have some good quality. And plus Xenoblade Chronicles 2, that should be at least a very good game as well, if it takes anything from the original Xenoblade Chronicles. So that's definitely something to look forward to. And Super Mario Odyssey as well. So that's a nicer lineup. But there's also some other things that were mentioned as well. Not necessarily a virtual console, but some retro hits coming. And then also a new option for gamers who are still holding on to the 3DS, correct?
Right, yeah. I think I might have missed the 3DS part, but yeah.
Well, basically, there's Mario favorites, like over 100, I think, different Mario type challenges that are. It's going to be a game packed with those type of small little mini games, so to speak, within a combination of that. That's coming to the 3DS, sort of like a Mario Party per se. That's coming to.
Fun. And that might be what this picture I was looking at up here. But yeah.
And then there's also retro gaming coming to the Switch as well, correct?
Right. So that, they only announced 4 or 5 games probably, and one of them Super Mario. I would hope they're going to release more as they go, but I think this is kind of their way of saying, I would hope that's their way of saying, hey, we know you guys want the virtual console, we're working on it, but for now here's some stuff to kind of tide you over. Yeah, they got Super Mario. I forget what the complete list of games is, but it's stuff to play, and I'm curious how, if they're just going to throw it out on their market, if we're going to see more of a system like that instead of the virtual console. So we'll just time will tell with that. But it's good to see that they're listening to fans and kind of making their marketing plan expand on what we have been asking for, which is something Nintendo doesn't normally do. So it's nice to kind of see them moving in that direction.
One thing I did want to ask you, the bundle that is coming out this holiday season with Super Mario Odyssey attached, that's still going to be a hot ticket regardless. But the fact is that it's coming out at a price point of $379.99, which to me is kind of disappointing. Yes, it's coming with a special edition screen protector and another carrying case for like a carrying case, a sleeve or what have you for it. That's special Super Mario Odyssey style. But really, in essence, it's they're not very valuable things to add on, and it's just basically they're charging you $20 extra than if you bought it separately. So I ask you, is this something that could annoy people who haven't yet bought a Switch to having paid that kind of extra money for that type of bundle? You think Nintendo, masters of maxing it out as far as the price is concerned, and maybe even gouging on different occasions, are doing it once again?
I look at it this way. It's when I look at bundles, I look at the companies bundling things together. It will sell because I think it's coming out right around holiday season this year, so it will sell because people will want, if they want a Nintendo Switch, they want Super Mario, people will buy it for their kids, and they'll probably buy it for themselves too. And then, but you look at it this way, GameStop is still bundling games or bundling Switch stuff for like both GameStop and Best Buy are still bundling things for like $400. So you kind of look at it as the lesser of two evils. And if you want, I mean, at least it comes with something that you want instead of like all this, you're going to buy it from GameStop or Best Buy. You buy a Nintendo Switch and you get like a screen cleaner that has a Zelda shape on it. Like it's completely ridiculous. At least with these Nintendo bundles, you're getting something valuable to you, something you can actually use. Whereas, the other stores just try to hawk random accessories at you. And that's the sad thing too. Like I know when the Switch first came out, it was GameStop was making you spend all this money for stuff that they were just had an excess of. It wasn't really anything you needed.
Yeah, that's true, but it's still, I kind of find it annoying that they're tacking on an additional $20. But they're going to sell it. They're going to sell through it, and that's what Nintendo does. And if any chance to gouge, they're going to do it. And little accessories aside, that yes, they may be something that could be useful, but I just think it's an easy pack-in for something maybe that costs them maybe $1 a piece at the most, and that they're really making an additional side profit off of it. Was once again because they understand the market better than a whole lot of us as well. So I guess that's all right for them, because if you buy it, people out there, then you know what, more power to you indeed. What are your thoughts out there on what was announced in Nintendo Direct? Are you excited for the Bethesda games, Xenoblade Chronicle 2 finally getting release dates, Skyrim, Doom, Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus actually coming over and being part of the actual Switch lineup? Are you excited about that? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. Well, like I said, we got a great program for you today. We got Rob McCallum with a lot more pop talk coming up right after the break. And then also as well later in the program, stopping by for week 2 of the NFL, it's our own man in the know when it comes to fantasy football. It's Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Pay Dirt podcast, and we truly appreciate him coming over as well. So it's going to be a great program indeed. But, it's that time again. We cannot have an episode of the PCC Multiverse without our good friend, Elijah Harrison. He is better known as Plasma Z. And this is Level 1, and this is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back to close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you listening in. We want to also thank Rob McCallum and also as well Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Podcast for stopping by and checking in with us as they are great guests indeed. Stay tuned in the coming episodes. There's going to be a lot of great stuff coming in. I've got a lot of great guests lined up that will hopefully be able to talk at length on our shows, both this show, the PCC Multiverse, and also the #1 show for 7 months in a row. That is the Pop Culture Cosmos Show, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network. And then you can also hear our shows on the Pop Culture Cosmos channels on Apple Podcasts, where we actually had the largest, most successful episode to date, and that's all because of you, and we thank you so much for that. That's on Apple Podcasts. TuneIn, Ace Podcast Network, Overcast.fm, Player.fm, Google Play, Stitcher, Podcast.com, Mixcloud, TuneIn, the ESO Network, the Tangent Bound Network, the Gonna Geek Network as well, Cast Crunch, Social Podcasts, and our home site, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. We've got a lot of great articles that are there that you can read through that cover the world of pop culture. I know Josh has got another review of the latest Uncharted game that he'll be putting up there in the near future. I've got some more of the greatest pro wrestling entities, whether it's a tag team, whether it's a tag team, whether it's a manager, whether it's the greatest women's wrestler of all time, and then also the greatest wrestler of all time. They'll have their own articles up on the site coming up as well. So we truly appreciate you checking that out indeed. Well, I can't let you go without talking about one last thing, and that's one of the most popular shows on television today, and it's called Rick and Morty. And Rick and Morty, if you're a big fan of the show, you already know how crazy and wacky and wild it is, and off the wall and NSFW at times. So it's really one of those shows that actually takes a lot from South Park. And I know you've checked out some time with Rick and Morty, Josh. Tell me your thoughts on the whole Rick and Morty phenomenon and why you think it's so popular to viewers out there.
Okay, I have two theories on this. One is really sad. It's the fact that we are being entertained by such stupid things now. But I can't even say that it's stupid because I find myself laughing at it when I see it on TV or on the internet or something. So, I'm looking at it this way. I'm looking at it kind of like my generation's version of Family Guy. So
or South Park.
Or South Park, yeah. And it's got like it's like forbidden fruit for kids too. So you know how I've ranted about this on here before, like with the Hangover or Deadpool. Little kids love that stuff because it's got all the stuff that they're not supposed to be watching. So, kids are obviously, since it's on Cartoon Network, they're telling their parents, yeah, it's on Cartoon Network, it's okay. Most of the stuff on Cartoon Network, even not Adult Swim, is pretty bad.
Because they over the years they've trended in that direction over the past, I'd say 15 years, with the success of Robot Chicken and so many other their shows, Space Ghost, Coast to Coast, I remember that as well, but so many other their shows that have hit have leaned towards an adult direction, correct?
Right, and like some of it too, like you have to, like a parent wouldn't never be able to pick up on it. You have to be like really quick, because my nephew is watching some of these shows and like they're on in the middle of the afternoon and they're triggered towards little kids, but they have some really dirty things in there if you sit there and watch them long enough. But yeah, back to Rick and Morty, like it's a very clever show. Like it's really, they take all this stuff that we are currently talking about and whatever's trending, and they make it into something that is actually kind of funny. Like it is like South Park in a way, but it kind of takes it one step further than South Park does sometimes, and it's clever. It's clever and it's stupid, and it's one of those things you can't help but watch.
Definitely, but with South Park, they do come off very NSFW when they want to, but usually they're trying to go ahead and just have an agenda to it as far as their show is concerned. I've actually been a fan of South Park over the years, but I've come in and out of the series because I've lost track and lost touch at times and come back forward. I know they just premiered recently with another episode that was geared to, well, what's going on in current politics today and our current cultural environment, and that's something that South Park really loves to touch on. With Rick and Morty, it just seems like it's off the wall NSFW humor, and just like you said, the writing is very clear, and to me, it's very quick, very fast paced, very interesting to watch. Even NSFWs aside, yes, don't let your kids watch the show. That's first. I mean, because it does sound at times like a very sophomoric humor, but if you got to keep watching, because like you said, a lot of stuff will pass you by if you're not watching carefully enough. So it's definitely something that a lot of fans like. Indeed, there's some great episodes there already that I've seen, and I'll tell you what, if you're really into that type of NSFW humor and just really like some of those adult things that are out there, check out Rick and Morty if you haven't already. But I'm pretty sure you have, because it's, like I said, it was the most popular show this past weekend on Sunday night. So that was out there on broadcast television, or cable television, I should say. So I know a lot of people are watching it, and I know a lot of people even more are viewing it online or on YouTube or whatnot. In fact, they've even got 24/7 streams of their shows back to back to back, just as a devotion to that franchise. So it's running well indeed when things like that are happening. So definitely kudos to Rick and Morty on why the phenomenon's there. Will it fade out? Well, The Simpsons is still going, relatively strong. South Park all over the place, but it still is a moneymaker and a ratings winner for Comedy Central. And then you have also, like you said, Family Guy and whatnot. So there are those staples of American animation that deal with adult situations and adult comedy that I think Rick and Morty, at least for the next couple, 3, 4, 5 years, even longer, may hold its place with them as well. So what are your thoughts on Rick and Morty? Please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com also as well. Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. And before we get on out of here, I got to ask Josh one more time. You know all the great stuff that's coming from Pop Culture Cosmos, but what are the great stuff coming through down the pike from Humanity Media?
Coming up, just Attack of the Humanicans, which will probably be Super BS. You'll have Super BS on Monday. And, check out what we've been popping up this week, because it's a lot of content has gone up so far this week. So you can check out the new 2 new episodes of Topicocalypse. You can check out new Inside Sports, new What About This, just all kinds of good stuff. So feel free to cruise on by our Facebook page or YouTube or wherever you get our content from, and just keep your eyes open. And thank you.
Definitely, indeed. I know Inside Sports has been really, going like gangbusters with a lot of likes on social medias, a lot of follows on social medias. I know Charles and Chris have done a great job trying to promote the NFL, and I'm going to be throwing some conversations in the future with Anthony Barberin from the NBA on that show, plus maybe sprinkling it here on this show and the Pop Culture Cosmos show as well in the near future. But that's great indeed. Love to hear what's going on with Humanity Media. And if anybody wants to find out more, check it out, Humanity Media on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for all the great action indeed. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.